Fans were shocked after V was spotted looking exhausted and overworked. What's going on? At the same time, the founder of BTS has been banned from leaving the country and is under investigation by authorities. How bad is it, and will it affect the group's comeback? When BigHit eliminated members, it hit RM really hard. Jungkook and V cried. Suga was furious. BTS's former colleague opens up and shares behind-the-scenes details. And more BTS news. Watch until the end to find out all the details. Fans crossed the line, and V didn't hide his disappointment. On October 7th, BTS member V returned to South Korea after a trip to Paris, where he attended exclusive Celine events during Paris Fashion Week. At first, everything seemed to be going well at Incheon Airport. But within minutes, the situation changed dramatically, and it exposed a problem that K-pop stars have been dealing with for years, being mobbed by fans at airports. As V stepped out of the arrivals gate, he didn't seem entirely relaxed. He looked cautious, scanning the crowd, clearly aware of how chaotic these situations can get. Still, when he saw that fans were staying behind the ribbon barrier, giving him space, he looked relieved. He even gave a few thumbs-up gestures, as if saying thank you to the crowd for respecting his space. For a brief moment, it felt like things had finally improved. People who were there and others who watched videos online noticed that the fans were surprisingly calm at first. They stayed behind the designated ribbon, which separated them from the walking path. Compared to previous scenes where celebrities were completely swarmed and overwhelmed, this felt like progress. It looked like fans had finally started taking all the warnings and requests seriously. But the peace didn't last. Not long after V gave his thumbs up, some fans started pushing past the ribbon. The quiet, respectful atmosphere fell apart quickly. Suddenly, V found himself surrounded. The smile disappeared from his face. His expression turned serious, and his body language said everything. He was no longer okay with what was happening. Clips of the moment quickly spread across social media. Many fans who saw what happened said they felt disappointed. They believed that V had come back in a good mood and had genuinely appreciated the respectful welcome. But then everything fell apart when people couldn't stay behind the barrier. Some fans felt it was a moment where trust had been broken. V had opened up with a gesture of approval, and it had been taken for granted. This isn't a new issue. For years, fans, artists, and entertainment companies have been trying to deal with the problem of crowding at airports. In fact, some fan groups have created initiatives like the Purple Ribbon Project, meant to keep fans behind lines and give idols safe space when they travel. Despite that, it seems like enforcement isn't consistent, and even when rules are in place, they're often ignored. It was obvious from V's reaction that he wasn't just annoyed, he was disappointed. Fans were shocked after V was spotted looking exhausted and overworked. What's going on? On the morning of October 6th in Paris, V was spotted walking out of his hotel during a very busy trip, and fans noticed that V looked exhausted. His face and body seemed to show signs of tiredness, even though he was doing his best to stay composed. People online pointed out that since he arrived in Paris, he hadn't really had any time to rest. He'd been moving from one event to another with barely a break. Fashion Week might seem glamorous, but for someone like V, it's a demanding job. Attending these events means waking up early, running between venues, getting styled and fitted, sitting through long shows, and doing interviews, all while trying to stay camera-ready every second. And that's not including the long flight to Paris, and the time difference that can mess with anyone's sleep. Add to that the responsibility of representing not just himself but also BTS in front of global media, and it's no surprise that he might be running on empty. After videos and pictures of him in Paris started spreading on social media, fans didn't just comment on his look. Many of them shared how worried they were. They said it looked like he hadn't had much rest and hoped he could get some sleep either before or after his next schedule. Some people said that while idols like V are used to being busy, traveling across countries while working non-stop is a whole different level of stress. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Fans have often raised concerns about how hard K-pop stars work, especially when they're flying around the world and have to keep performing without breaks. What makes it even tougher is that idols are expected to always look perfect, even when they're clearly tired or drained. That pressure is part of the industry, but more and more fans are starting to speak up, asking for better care for their favorite artists. People are now hoping that after the fashion events wrapped up, V was finally able to slow down and rest. V once confessed that exhaustion pushed him to a dark thought, that maybe if he got hurt, he could finally rest. Back in 2023, fans got to see a much more personal side of V during his appearance on Suga, a YouTube talk show hosted by fellow BTS member Suga. Their conversation started off casually, touching on V's solo album Layover and laughing over old memories from their trainee days. But things took a serious turn when the topic shifted to what V described as one of the darkest times in his life. V opened up about how hard things were for him in 2018, a year when BTS was exploding in popularity worldwide. From the outside, it looked like the group was on top of the world. But behind the scenes, V said he felt completely worn out, physically, mentally, and emotionally. He admitted that he had been so exhausted that he even considered aging himself just to get a break from everything. He shared a moment that stuck with him. After filming the music video for Fake Love, he had asked the team if he could take the next day off. It wasn't a free day. There was dance practice scheduled, but he was so drained that he hoped he could skip it, just once. But the practice was too important. The group was preparing for a major comeback, and taking time off wasn't an option. That's when he felt something shift. He realized he couldn't even take a single day to rest, and that thought overwhelmed him. V explained that the pressure didn't hit all at once. It had been slowly building over time. Every moment he couldn't rest, every time he pushed himself past his limits, it added up. Eventually, the weight of it all made him feel like there was no escape. He said he started wondering if getting injured was the only way out, if that would finally allow him to pause everything, even for just a short time. He made it clear that he doesn't feel that way anymore. He said he wants to change the version of himself that had those thoughts. But opening up about them now, he believed, was important. Until then, fans had mostly seen BTS as strong, unstoppable performers. V's honesty pulled back the curtain and revealed how hard it can be to keep up with that image. Suga also spoke openly during the episode. He said that all of the members had gone through burnout around the same time. Even though they were achieving massive success, something didn't feel right. Instead of enjoying what they had accomplished, they were constantly stressed. He remembered how they used to talk about how tired they were, but they never really found a way to deal with it. They just kept working, thinking that results were more important than how they were feeling. Looking back, Suga said they should have focused more on being happy. But at the time, they didn't know how to slow down. The pressure to stay perfect, to deliver hit after hit, pushed them past their breaking points. V also talked about how he began to compare himself to the other members. He felt like he was slower, that his mindset was different. Watching the others perform with so much energy made him feel even more isolated. He wondered if he was the only one struggling. That feeling, he said, made everything worse. The conversation between V and Suga shed light on something fans don't always see: the harsh side of K-pop. The fame, the awards, the screaming crowds, it all comes at a cost. Behind the cameras, the schedule can be brutal. And even when things are going well on the outside, it can be a very different story on the inside. After the episode aired, fans responded with a flood of support. Many said they were thankful that he shared something so personal, and others said they hoped it would help people understand that asking for rest is not a weakness. It's a basic human need. When BigHit eliminated members, it hit RM really hard. Long before BTS became one of the biggest music groups in the world, their future was far from certain. Back then, they weren't global stars. They were just a group of teenagers training under a small company called BigHit Entertainment, which barely had enough money to stay in business. The company was struggling so badly that it had to make some tough choices, one of the hardest being to let go of almost every trainee who wasn't part of the 7-member group that would become BTS. At that time, BigHit wasn't focused only on the current members. The agency had a number of other young trainees who were also dreaming of becoming idols. 2 of them, Kim Ji-hoon and Hwang Ji-won, were part of that early training system. But when BigHit decided to pour all its limited resources into debuting BTS, the other trainees, including Kim and Hwang, had to leave. According to BTS's official biography Beyond the Story, the company couldn't afford to support anyone else. Years later, Kim and Hwang sat down for an interview and shared what it felt like to walk away from their dreams. Both remembered that trainees were being cut almost every week, so they had already started to expect it might happen to them. Kim said he wasn't shocked when it was his turn. In fact, he said it made sense after watching Jungkook perform. He saw how incredibly skilled Jungkook was, and he realized he probably couldn't reach that same level. That moment helped him accept that leaving BigHit was the right decision for him. Hwang had a similar outlook. His training was mostly focused on singing, and he didn't think he was being prepared to be part of BTS specifically. He guessed that maybe the company had plans for a different group in the future. But when BigHit shifted all its attention to BTS, it became clear there was no longer a spot for him. He left the agency around the time BTS officially debuted in June 2013. Even though they both understood the decision, leaving wasn't easy. Kim remembered a moment with RM, who had become a leader among the trainees. Kim hadn't told anyone that he was being let go, but RM somehow found out and walked into dance practice to ask if it was true. The two had grown close during their year of training together, and Kim said RM looked genuinely upset. At that time, a lot of trainees were leaving, but because they were such good friends, RM took this one especially hard. Hwang also remembered the day he left. The other trainees, some of whom would later become BTS members, tried to comfort him. Even though the K-pop industry is extremely competitive, the friendships between trainees were real, and saying goodbye hurt. Kim and Hwang never debuted as idols, but they didn't give up on their goals. Kim became a well-known fitness trainer and built a successful career helping others stay healthy. Hwang continued in music and is now a respected vocal coach, teaching at top-level institutions. Their stories offer a different view of BTS's rise to the top. While the spotlight shines on the 7 members who made it, people like Kim and Hwang were also part of that early journey. They trained alongside BTS during the most uncertain days, when no one knew if the group, or even the company, would survive. BigHit took a major risk by cutting everyone else and focusing entirely on BTS. At the time, it was a gamble. The company had almost no money, and there were no guarantees of success. But in the end, it paid off. Jungkook and V cried. Suga was furious. BTS's former colleague opens up and shares behind-the-scenes details. Life as a trainee was no joke. Kim's days were packed with singing and dancing lessons that stretched for 12 hours or more. Some nights, they didn't end until well past midnight. While others got piano lessons, Kim focused only on dancing and vocals. Despite how hard it was, he never wanted to quit. He said it was tough and painful, but he genuinely loved it. He looked forward to training, no matter how exhausted he was. He remembered those years with real warmth. There were hard days, but there were also simple joys. Walking out with friends to grab fried chicken, staying up late talking about the future, laughing in the practice rooms. Kim became close with RM and J-Hope, who were around his age. He remembered Suga as someone who didn't talk much, but showed he cared through quiet actions. Jungkook and V were the pranksters, always joking around, while Jimin was soft-spoken and hardworking. Jin, the oldest, still lived with his family in Seoul and didn't move into the trainee dorm until just before the group's debut. At the time, BigHit had bigger plans than just one group. BTS was originally supposed to have subunits. Kim and V were in a ballad team, while RM, Suga, J-Hope, and Jungkook made up a hip-hop unit. It was supposed to be similar to older groups like 2AM and 2PM. But BigHit was struggling financially and began cutting trainees. First from 30 to 20, then to 10. Eventually, only 7 were left, and those 7 became BTS. Then came the day that changed everything for Kim. He got a sudden call from the company. He was asked to come in, and when he arrived, a staff member told him straight, "Ji-hun, we won't be walking the same path anymore." Just like that, he was out. He had 1 week to pack up and leave the dorm. There was no warning, no second chances. Kim admitted he wasn't as skilled as the others. He believed that might have been the reason he didn't make it. Still, it was a painful moment. He remembered RM and J-Hope being stunned and repeatedly asking why it had happened. Jungkook and V cried. Jimin sat in silence and Suga was furious. Kim said Suga couldn't understand why someone like him had been let go, when there were others he thought were less capable. That dinner was the last time Kim saw any of them. It was just a few months before BTS debuted in June 2013. They gathered at the old dorm, shared one last meal of fried chicken, and talked about what lay ahead. Kim even teased them about the group's name, asking if BTS was really what they were going with. He thought it sounded strange at the time. Now, he says, there's no one in Korea who doesn't recognize the name. After leaving BigHit, Kim returned to life outside of the K-pop world. He worked part-time jobs, completed military service, and earned a college degree in psychology. Today, he lives with his family in Wonju and works as a public servant at a local government office. In his spare time, he creates videos for YouTube. Even now, when he sees BTS billboards on the street or hears their songs playing in public places, it feels surreal. To him, they're still the teens he used to train with, not global celebrities. He said he's proud of them, but he hasn't reached out. He wants to wait a little longer, maybe another 3 years, before reconnecting. He wants to feel like he's achieved more in his own life first. When asked if he regrets missing out on BTS's success, Kim answered honestly. He said the real regret was not buying Bitcoin. As for leaving the group, he has no hard feelings. He said if he could do it all again, he absolutely would. Training at BigHit was a part of his life he truly values, even if it didn't end the way he once hoped. BTS founder has been banned from leaving the country and is being investigated by Korean authorities. How bad is it, and will it affect the group's comeback? Bang PD, the man who created the entertainment company behind BTS, is now under investigation and has been banned from leaving South Korea. The police are looking into serious accusations that he was involved in stock fraud around the time HYBE, formerly BigHit Entertainment, became a publicly traded company in 2020. The travel ban was put in place on August 11th, just after Bang came back to Seoul. The financial crimes team from the Seoul Metropolitan Police confirmed that he is being investigated for possibly breaking South Korea's Capital Markets Act. This law controls how companies raise money and sell stocks, and violating it can mean serious consequences. The police started looking into the case in late 2022. Since then, they've raided HYBE's main office in Seoul, as well as the Korea Exchange, the country's main stock market, to collect documents and internal records. Bang has already been called in twice for questioning, but so far, no charges have been officially filed. Bang has strongly denied all accusations. He says that both he and HYBE followed every rule and regulation during the IPO process. He insists the company acted legally and fairly. When HYBE went public in October 2020, it quickly became one of the most valuable entertainment companies in South Korea. HYBE grew fast, buying other companies and expanding internationally. But now, this investigation could damage that reputation. For a man once celebrated for changing the face of K-pop, the accusations have brought an unexpected twist. As of now, Bang hasn't been arrested or charged, but the travel ban is still active. Investigators are continuing to look into the case, and the outcome could have major consequences for both Bang and HYBE.